Hi everyone, it's Natalie here, and it is the 1st of November, so this is a reading, the general reading that will go from the 2nd of November, which is Saturday, through to Friday, the 8th of November. And I'm saying that so slowly because I'm in shock that the year and that time and everything has moved so quickly. So that said, we're going to work with the Tarot of the Sidhe today. So because it's Dia de los Muertos today, I still have my candle burning here, and I kept them burning all night last night and all day yesterday, just sending some love and some light to the departed and to my ancestors, people that I love and appreciate who are no longer physically in a body. So, that said, we want to look for our significator. So we're looking for the Fool because they represent all of us on our little journey in life. Let's see all of the cards. And it's Tarot of the Sidhe, so an opportunity to make me flip through the whole deck is probably like an added bonus. There we are. And I started even going through the back and so on, but anyway, there's our Fool. So we will elect them as our significator. Wonderful, wonderful Fool in this deck. Okay, so I will begin the shuffling ritual. Okay, so all right. We'll start, there goes my hagstones. We'll start at the beginning. Right. Okay. And is it the thickest pile this week? Yeah, it is. So we're in the swords pile here, everybody. So it's about our place in the world. So it tends to be the case that in the first operation, when the significator shows up in the swords pile, it is either about conflict and intellectual matters, or we're looking at questioning our place in the world and what it is that we're doing and contributing on a larger scale. So it may be that this week we begin to question those things, right? We begin to question, what am I doing here? What are my actions serving? And is it serving the greater good? Because that is, for a lot of us, that is a deeply important aspect of what we do. this is also a pile that tends to apply to people who hold positions of leadership within a community or who are being called towards a position of leadership. So this is definitely a very interesting pile to find ourselves in. The other thing to know is that when our significator shows up in the swords pile, the solution to whatever comes up in the reading can most easily be solved through thinking. So whatever we find this week, thinking is the answer. Spending more time thinking, giving ourselves time to really think something through and to use our intellect to the greatest possible ability. Okay, so that said, before starting today, I did shuffle the I Do Good card back into the deck, okay? So it should not be at the top, and it's definitely not at the bottom. It's somewhere in the middle, because I thought, wow, the last thing I want anyone to think is that I'm like intentionally like planting it somewhere, which I really couldn't do easily. But with that said, let's see what the Amenti Oracle has to tell us about the week to come. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, so that jumped out straight away. Fascinating. So our card for this week, I am peaceful. That's fascinating. And she's got this hourglass underneath of her. So, that tells me we need to look at, I definitely noticed myself in this one, but we need to look at how to become peaceful with our use of time and with what time we have. It may also be devoting time to being peaceful, spending time in quiet, spending time just being, which I think a lot of us really struggle with. It's not an easy thing to make ourselves do. And yet, okay, so having just kind of gone through and read the entry for this one, which is quite long, there are a few key ideas here that I think could be very helpful to us for this week. So, of this particular card, Jennifer Sodini writes, time is the illusion of each moment moving past. The speed of the life shifts with the pace of our awareness. With each moment, the sands of the soul descend to form a cosmic pattern which our individual part in history manifests through creation. Okay. She then goes on to say a lot of other things to do with finding the opportunities for peace in every moment as we go throughout our day and go through the week. And she brings it back to intention once again. And I love these cards and I love this deck because of its emphasis on intention and the power that intention really holds for us to find what we need and to create that featherlight heart for ourselves rather than hoping for it to be, in place. We actually have a power to be able to create it for ourselves. She says, if an intention for anything is set in the heart, the universe will respond, and the correspondence that will be communicated back to you will follow the truth at the root of your desire. So, it is essential to remember the ideal of peace, and that ease is not always found when we receive what we are hoping for. I'm going to start that again. It is essential to remember the ideal of peace and that ease is not always found when we receive what we are hoping for in a material and or experiential sense. Attachment creates suffering. And it is the attachment to a given result that takes us out of relationship with the harmony of creation. Peace is ease with the dream of creativity and faith in knowing why, and knowing every why will be answered within the hourglass of time. So, yeah, I am peaceful seems to me to hold a great deal of the need to trust and let go. which is a lot to do with non-attachment. All right, so we'll put her right here and lay out the circle. Okay, so we're back, and I'm going to start the card counting here. So we're going to start with the Fool. And the Fool is looking mostly to be going this direction. So I went ahead and went clockwise. So from here we have 1, 2, 3. And our first card, wow. First card this week is the High Priestess. Okay, and she's planetary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Maker 3. One, 2, 3. So we have Warrior 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, Dancer Princess. So that's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dancer 7. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hermit. And the Hermit is a zodiac. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Which gives us Warrior Queen. Queens are 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We're back to Dancer Princess. So that ends our cycle for us. That's not too bad. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards. Nice. So, and the Warrior Queen. Okay, so here we are. With a greater view of the whole spread today. Yeah, a lot of really interesting aspects that are already really visible. One of them being that the week starts with the High Priestess but finishes with the Warrior Queen, or the Queen of Wands. We have the Hermit opposite the Three of Pentacles, basically, which is Maker 3 here. Warrior 8 and Dancer 7. So 8 of Wands and 7 of Cups, right? And then the Dancer Princess, or she's the Page. All right. What we're looking at here for the week, interestingly, no swords. No, we would need dreamers in here for there to be sword energy in this particular spread. So we have a sword pile with no swords. And yet, thinking thinking is going to be the answers to our questions and issues this week. So interesting. We're starting the week with the energy of the High Priestess. And I'm going to say that this feels to me like it's an energy, again, that puts us back into last month. Okay, so, things that we were already intuitively drawing upon in October feel to me like what we're working with in the energy of this high priestess. Um, this feels to me like the effort put forward to take ownership over what we're creating in our lives and in our world, and in the way that we're manifesting ourselves in the world, but using intuition to do it. So I don't see a book. Oh, she's sitting on her book. Her book is her throne. So she's creating her own. She's writing her own book. She's sitting in the middle of her own story, as it's being written. This is a beautiful aspect of creating your own life, of taking ownership and responsibility for your actions and for your life, and working with the kind of divine intuition that's necessary in order to create a life that feels like it's attuned to your own highest purpose, right? So as we're working with, the energy of that Vav pile or swords pile, that is a really good thing to know, right? Moving forward, especially if what we're trying to work with this week is I am peaceful. There's peace in knowing that the universe is reflecting back to us, hey, I see what you've done. I see where you've come from. I see what you're working on, okay? That feels very fortuitous to me. It then goes into more specific detail here with this Maker 3. I'm seeing you create and work collaboratively with the universe in order to manifest very intentionally what it is that you want. And it would seem too that we're all perhaps, hopefully, beginning to feel, we're beginning to see the fruit of literally the labor's fruit, the fruit of our labors, the fruit of going through this process, beginning to bring back something that's useful that we can put into, into actual motion. So the, finances, money, funds, actual physical results of the labor. Now, I feel like this is all intuitive, right? We're just looking at energies. I'm considering some of the energies from previous weeks as I go along. So it feels to me like with Warrior 8, all of this stuff that we've been working on has taken off, and it's made things move very, very fast. And dealing with this fast-moving energy is challenging. It is something that, when things start to move like this, it's hard to know where you stand or what you need to do to move forward or continue. Okay. So I just took a second there to think this one through. Like, okay, maybe I moved a little too quickly there. Funny thing. Because this is kind of the current moment, right? We're also looking at Mercury retrograde that was, station retrograde on the 31st, right? So pretty significant there. But with Warrior 8, we've got things moving so quickly and so fast that, if we're not conscious of taking a break and of finding some space, right, that's playful and gentle, what we're going to find is that this could easily turn into carelessness. Very easily could turn into some carelessness. I find that if I'm moving, when things are moving so quickly and so fast, if there isn't much time that's taken, and I don't necessarily feel like this dancer princess is that time, right? What begins to happen is we become less effective. And I've definitely felt that creeping up in the last week or two. The last time I have to take a break and recover, and even just minor ones, maybe even in the day, the more I am careless and less intentional about the way I spend my time off. Okay? So when I do eventually take a break, it's not necessarily an intentional break. It just becomes a frivolous one. So moving from there into Dancer 7, without that space and with things feeling kind of emotional, right? Because when we're looking at this Dancer Princess, this is a Cups card. That can lead us, when there's not enough time and there's not enough of a break, to feeling disillusioned, to feeling uncertain about what it is that we're doing, about the point of what we're doing. In other words, it's hard to be peaceful. When we can't, we can lose sight of the bigger picture by not spending enough time thinking. And again, the problems that we're looking at are to be solved this week through thinking, and we don't have any swords cards here. So we're looking at, the energies of, things becoming more grounded in reality, but continuing to move fast. So time is moving fast. Inspiration is fast. Energy generally is fast. It may become careless, right? It can become frivolous. And when we're doing all of this and there's not enough space for thought, we do become less careful. We do become a lot more frivolous. We do become a lot less consciously engaged with our emotional space. All right. So we're looking at seeing that come to a head at some point this week, I feel. Where it's like, oh my gosh, what am I even doing? How do I stay on track? What's the deal, etc. And the solution to that is the hermit. The point of the hermit going into space and quiet is so that he can come back out having found light, and then share that light and the fruit of that light with others. And given that we're on, so many of us anyway, are on this sort of intuitive path, moving forward with intention and clarity, even though sometimes we don't necessarily know how that's going to turn out, right? We just trust it and move forward. The way that we can recover the ability to keep manifesting and working from that place is going to be through that time off and that time alone. So I feel like this is a pretty strong admonition, or really probably an invitation, actually, from the she, to take that time for ourselves and to take that time to restore the light within, so that it can be replenished, and we can then, of course, return to the world with our gift of charm. That the time to pause and think, right, from our hermit, and recover that light, recover that intention, brings this profound radiance. Interesting too that she's blindfolded. So these two women here are opposite one another. She's blindfolded. So there's almost a blind intuition, or it's definitely coming from within, right? What is working through this warrior queen is coming from within her. Interesting too, there's like I don't know if that's supposed to be her sacral chakra or her solar plexus chakra. Either way, this powerful fire that's in the belly of this high priestess feels like it's the kind of fire that gets released in the warrior queen. So again, starting, just to recap, we're looking at, these two cards are where we're coming from. I feel these are the energies we're bringing into this reading already, having started from this place and found that our intentions and our intuition, our path, and so forth has been revealed to us, and as it has, we've acted on it, and it has proven fruitful. The energy happening at the moment feels very fast, furious, creative, inspired, and it's not leaving us a whole lot of space to really know what it is that we're creating and doing and participating in with as much clarity and intention as what we've had previously. There's not as much space for thought or reflection. As that takes place and we watch that play out this week, we may find ourselves in a position whereby we become sort of a little emotionally immature, possibly a little emotionally frivolous as a means of coping with the stress, which is certainly not a bad way to handle it. Let's be real. To become playful, expressive, creative as a way of coping and managing is not a bad thing. It seems kind of inevitable that may be what happens, that being more in the body and emotions is the reality. Could also mean, just occurred to me, this may mean also dealing with the stress. I'm not a drinker, so I don't always think of these things. Dealing with the stress of all of this energy and momentum through getting lost in some alcohol. Or, she could have been on some ecstasy, really. Or some Molly, or I don't know. I'm not familiar with drugs because I don't take them. And I have no judgment of those that do, actually, frankly. But it could be that using that as a means of coping with too much stress, too much communication, speeding through life could mean that overindulgence leaves us disillusioned, and wondering, like, where do I stand? What am I doing? There's too much here. I can't see things clearly anymore. And that will lead us back into a sort of personal cave. And this is where I feel the swords pile really can serve us best, is to stop, take the time it takes to think things through really very clearly. Because doing that will reignite the light within. I don't think we're at any shortage of having inspiration, passion, motivation, to keep us going. I think it's a matter of just, we're going to have to figure out how to stop. How do we stop? So stopping to reflect and to reawaken that light within is going to yield beautiful results, because it will just shine right back out of us, and allow us to take that into the world. So what a beautiful message. And, again, if we're coming back to the intention of I am peaceful, and having some non-attachment, this is going to be very interesting. I don't pretend to know how that's going to play out, because I don't. But I think holding that intention to remain peaceful, to remember that in the quickness of everything, because I do think she's attached here in some way, or connected with this hermit. And interesting, I chose to put her here. But, finding peace in every moment, remembering to pause, to breathe, maybe to choose to play or be expressive rather than to take, to overindulge in something, or as we get involved in illusion's depths, taking that moment to pause and breathe and remember the intention of wanting to be peaceful with our choices, with the movement of life, could be what allows us to take that step here, as into a hermited space. And certainly then, as we take all of that passion into the world, remembering that we intend to do so peacefully and gently, as powerful as that is. I mean, these two warrior cards here this week feel really intense. It's a lot to balance. So, yeah. So, I wish all of you tremendous love and tremendous peace this week going into all of this. And I thank you so much for the opportunity to offer you these readings. I have so much fun offering them and looking at things, and it's just beautiful to share. Let me know how this sits with you. A few people have started really reflecting week by week, how things affect them and how they're taking them in. And I really do enjoy hearing about that. So, yeah. All right, everyone. That's it. I will see you next week. Bye.